All right.
This is a technological showcase set in the world of The Witcher 4.
It
What you
looks
just
really
saw
nice.
And are going to see now is running on a standard PlayStation 5 at 60 FPS with ray tracing. So in the game, you'll be playing as Ciri, a professional monster slayer, a witcher. She explores the world and hunts down monsters for coin. The
Damn,
region
looks really
you're in
good.
is called Kovir, and you'll get to explore it in a game. Right now, Ciri is investigating a monster, and after gathering new clues, she is heading back to a nearby village.
Right. Keep in mind that this is a tech demo. So the probability of this game looking like this when the game actually comes out is pretty low. So the best thing you can hope for is this game looks as close to this as possible. But just keep that in mind.
All right, everyone, meet Kelpie.
A dog?
Let weeds be weeds, Kelpie.
Wait.
So just like Geralt had Roach,
Kelpie.
Go back.
Let weeds be weeds.
All right. Boys, this was the most important part, all right? How hot is she? I think she's really hot. She's really hot. It's passable.
Weeds, Kelpie.
so just like Geralt had Roach, Ciri has her own loyal companion.
We return to town.
These two characters need to feel like one. Since you're gonna explore the world on horseback, riding needs to feel seamless, natural, and just fun.
Yeah, and to support that, we're introducing multi-character motion matching in Unreal. So Ciri and Kelpie, they're perfectly synchronized when mounting from any angle and speed.
Okay.
And we also support root motion movement on Kelpie, so controlling her feels realistic and grounded. And there are
I feel
also
like
some really
horse
nice improvements
riding
to our
always
Unreal
feels kind of
Chaos
bad in
Flex
games.
Solver, and these machine-learned deformations. So you've got realistic muscles moving and stretching under Kelpie's skin without compromising the performance there.
Okay. Boys, I feel like this is something... Boys, this right here, this is something that doesn't really change anything. But if you're like a AAA studio, it can add like... It's like a finer touch once the product is finished. But most people don't really give a shit about this, right? They just don't. But it's still cool. It's still kind of cool, I suppose.
So let's leave Ciri behind for a second and talk about the world itself.
All right.
So much of the Witcher world is natural, organic, especially Kovir with its dense forest and wild nature.
Yeah, and wild nature is hard. And with nanite geometry, we've freed artists from so many of their old constraints. But we don't want to rest until everything we do in Unreal has that same spirit.
I wonder
of
how
freedom.
exploring
There's always more work to do.
this world's
And
going to be,
foliage
because it
is a
seems to be
huge
very
piece of that puzzle. So we are excited to
mountainous,
introduce
right?
nanite foliage.
I feel like it could be
And
either
in order to
annoying
achieve gorgeous foliage density
and very
everywhere,
janky.
while
Well,
still being memory
okay.
efficient, fast to render, we believe that a new idea was
That-
needed.
that's
so
a
instead
bear.
of the same
You see that on the
card
left?
approach we've been using for the past 20 years, artists should be free to take a nanite approach to foliage, modeling every single leaf and pine needle. And the old LOD tricks of the past, they needed a complete rethink. And in their place, it's a new adaptive voxel representation in nanite. It's
Like
volumetric,
Minecraft.
it's fully 3D, it is super fast to render. And these dense clusters of triangles turn into these cubes, which at a distance, they're no larger than a pixel, and they react to the changing light of our dynamic sun and our shadows, and they allow artists to render whatever amount of foliage is needed to achieve their vision without compromise.
And no compromise means how ambitious we are when it comes to bringing our vision to life with incredible visuals. But more than that, together with Epic, we created faster way to load the world. We can now bring in more content more quickly for the smoothest possible experience as we fly down to catch up.
boys. So, in terms of content, there was a problem in The Witcher 3 where almost all of the question marks on the map was really bad, right? So, like, if you go to Skellige, every question mark in the water was a smuggler's cache. It was like the lamest, most just tedious shit if you wanted to do it. I hope that they tone down on that kind of content and they lean more into actual content, and the exploration is a bit more cohesive and enjoyable.
Stop, Siri.
God damn. Okay, so we've got the first village.
Welcome to Valdrest. So Valdrest is a port town, a hub for fishing, trade, and mining. It's one of those places where you can meet shady characters or overhear gossip from other lands. It's also where Ciri took on her current contract. High-tech, let's leave Kelpie here and explore the marketplace and
I kind of wonder if you can play this game like a complete
I'm so
arsehole.
excited we can finally
So
show
like
you some
choose
of
the
this
worst
stuff.
options possible.
Let's see what Valdrest has to offer.
Not her again.
That was rude.
Present him with a fish.
Good,
With a furry
good doggy.
rascal will often wink, and a bear's weight grants good fortune. For this feat,
Pardon.
Guys, notice how responsive the world is. Character actions directly affect what happens around you, sometimes even setting off chain reactions. Everything is working together.
Right, so as I said before, keep in mind that this here is a tech demo. I also believe The Witcher 3 had a tech demo, and when the game came out, it didn't look even close to how it did in the tech demo. I believe Cyberpunk also had a tech demo, and if you remember the launch to that game, it was atrocious, right? And based off of what I'm seeing here, I feel like you're gonna have to have a pretty fucking good PC to run this game if you're playing on PC. Or console could be the better option.
Oh, look at this poor gentleman being taught how to fly by an angry innkeeper. That's what happens when you cheat at Gwent.
Last of it, is it?
Gwent again, huh?
Jingling the purse.
Okay,
That guy's
so this is the
got
guy
one
who
leg.
gave the series questions on. Like you probably suspect, he has his own agenda in all of this.
You off your tits again, Wilfred. Get your ass up.
Boys, do any of you remember the Bloody Baron from The Witcher 3? There were certain moments in that game, or with that NPC, that was peak NPC dialogue and character design, right? So, like, there was a moment where he explains his side of the story, where he tells you that he was being abusive, etc., right? But a part of you feels kind of bad for him, even though he was a complete asshole. I feel like if they can do that more in this game, we could have something very special in terms of story and characters. But that guy was absolute peak, in my opinion.
Typical day's toil.
Who in? Witcheress. What news of my wagons? No eternity is taking that damn salt to arrive.
I found them. And, well, suffice to say, they'll not reach you. As for the salt, I found not one speck. I presume this comes as no surprise to you. No.
She's really hot.
Kavir's smuggling trade is of no
She's
concern.
really fucking hot.
Shush, shush.
The manticore that flattened your cart. and devoured your men? Quite the opposite.
Manticore? No, them winged hellspawn dwell in the arse end of Creighton, not here.
While Ciri decides what to do about that merchant, let's take a look at the character technology that powers this marketplace. Why don't we listen in on these fishmongers? They're selling their wares, chatting up customers.
Morning, catch this is. Won't find none fresher.
Rugged me ladies after one of them.
Course. Get this cleaned and gutted for you. You mind, dearest? Into seeing something more. Got mackerel, cod, all Braxton's finest.
And there is tons of tech to play here, even in this simple market stall. Metahuman tools, improved Unreal Smart Objects, Chaos Cloth, and more.
Yeah, and all of this exists to make sure that the gap in
They had this
quality
kind of thing
between
in
Ciri and
Red Dead
NPCs
Redemption 2
is
as well.
small as possible.
Like small tasks in the
closing
background that
gap,
NPCs
it's not
would
just
do.
about fidelity, right, but also authenticity. They should react to changes in the world around them.
But the prisoner in Pillory isn't exciting enough for Valdrest. Let's grab everyone's attention with a circus.
Hi, Mummy!
I just watched an ad.
Roses have
Fuck's
to play.
sake.
Hey, we've just gone.
Fucking YouTube.
But the great performance deserves a huge crowd though. Let's crank it up.
I hope they focus on the combat a lot more than they do
So you are
on
seeing tons of
juggling the apples.
optimizations here to many of Unreal systems, including an entirely new Unreal animation framework, allowing us to fit easily in our 60 FPS budget, not just in rendering, but also with room to spare on the game thread.
60
Over
FPS. Huh?
300 animated skeletal mesh agents all going about their business. And the whole point is to leave breathing room for developers like you to introduce the gameplay and the systems that your players expect, empowering you to make your worlds come to life without Unreal standing in your way.
You are right. And that's the open world RPG that we're making. But before we wrap up, how about one final check-in with Ciri? We are making this game to be the most immersive and ambitious open world Witcher game ever. And we are making this a reality thanks to our work on Unreal with the team at Epic.
Boys, I feel like when devs try to make an open world game, I feel like so many devs fall into the trap of more content equals a more enjoyable experience. But it just doesn't, right? Like, the more like cluttered shit you add into the game, the more tedious the game becomes, right? We saw this in The Witcher 3. You have this in like Skyrim. You have it in Ghost of Tsushima, etc. So if this is going to be a large world, I'm very, very skeptical on how exploring that world is going to be.
I think what we're doing together is going to bring in a new generation of open world RPGs, and I'm so proud of what we accomplished so far.
We are too.
So we're almost done, but before we go, here's a small gift for all Witcher fans.
Okay.
A first look at Lanexeter.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Onward, Kelby. We've worked to do.
Indulge in
Fucking
luxurious,
motherfucking
timeless
ads.
hospitality.
Alright, come on, fuck off. Jesus. Alright, 1 minute. Let's get back to that. So it's definitely a beautiful game, right? Clearly. But in The Witcher 3, they had a problem where the combat was kind of just, who cares, right? Like, this here is what The Witcher 3 was at the time that it came out. But the combat was always kind of, who cares? So if they can get the actual game to look like this, whilst keeping the the dialogue from like the Bloody Baron from The Witcher 3 and also improve the combat, we could have a game that can go into the category alongside of Elden Ring and Claire Obscur Expedition 33. But they have to get the dialogue and the combat down. But the game here, in the tech demo at least, looks really fucking good. But it's going to require PC players to have a pretty decent PC to run this game.
Onward, Kelpie. We've worked.
Kelpie? Can't you just call him Roach? Move, Roach.
Thanks, guys. Seriously, it looks amazing. And we've also barely scratched the surface of what's coming in Unreal 5.6. So here's Julien to tell you even more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Alright, so this is like the devs talking about the game. Alright, let's see what they got to say.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Great to be here in Orlando. I spent a lot of time on this demo, so I'm happy to be the one to talk about what went into the 5.6 release.
So he's the one who was talking during
An open world
the
like
test.
that was just the perfect content to focus on our main goal for the release, which was performance. We want the engine to scale to large and rich worlds. We want to preserve graphics quality. And of course, we want to deliver high frame rates that you and your players expect. So let's check it out, starting with rendering. If you all remember, when we released Nanite with UE5, it supported static geometry. Last year, we brought skinning to Nanite. And now, we're working on Nanite foliage. The only way to have a forest that looks as good as this one is to use 3D geometry for all parts of the trees, just like we do for everything else. However, this is a crazy amount of fine geometry, so we had to rethink how trees are created and displayed. To create them, we developed Nanite assemblies.
This game seems to have a shitload of trees, but it's also got horse riding. Usually those two don't go together particularly well, to where like you tend to find yourself jumping off the horse and walking through the woods a lot more often.
They even support skeletal animation, which runs on the GPU. Thanks to assembly, we greatly reduced the storage, the runtime memory, and the rendering cost. Then, to display an entire forest, the challenge was to preserve fidelity and performance from any distance. Let's check up close the level of detail we're talking about here. Lots of details. But this triangle representation is not the most efficient when far away.
I wonder how long
it
takes to edit
and
like
that's why we made an adaptive
close-up trees.
But in reality, you'll never see those voxels this close, since when we move the camera back, they're barely a pixel. Nanite foliage is almost done. We are moving it to the main line as we speak, and it will be available for everyone in 5.7. Another thing I would like to share is that ray tracing and Lumen now run more than twice as fast, with no visual trade-off compared to when UE5 was released. And because of that, we can now hit 60 FPS on consoles. And finally,
but the PlayStation 5 Pro
pipeline to run asynchronously
is 120
so
FPS.
you can increase the richness
it costs
of your scenes even
£1,000 to
more.
buy.
Now let's talk about chaos physics. For Chaos Clot, we improve our clot-to-clot constraint solution.
Can we burn down the forest?
This removes a lot of collision evaluation when garments are piling up and interacting with each other. Even for complex setup like Series Cape, we hit a sub-millisecond budget on PS5. With Chaos Flesh, we introduce procedural muscle activations to make deformation and motion more natural. Your artist will still have control over tetrahedral simulation and train ML models that run fast in real time. We now support the baking of fluid surface data into lightweight assets to be played
I wonder
back
if
at
there's
low
going to be
cost.
boobs in this game.
This is going to give you
If you had
high
boobs in The
fidelity
Witcher
water
3,
without the performance cost of real-time
we need to
fluid
bring back
simulation.
titties into gaming.
For animation, we work on both performance and fidelity. Here, you can see how Siri and Kelpie match up in their interaction. Well, that works no matter the angle of approach. That's our Modes character motion matching solution. We also added motion matching in Sequencer to build stitch tracks. With them, you can seamlessly transition from gameplay to cinematic. Also, we now have a secondary layer of animation driven by physics in Control Rig. We used it in Kelpie's rig to drive the mane, the tail, and the saddlebags. And now, I'm happy to announce that all these features are already integrated into our new Unreal Animation framework, which we are releasing as experimental in 5.6. We built it with performance first in mind. Animation evaluation are now running in parallel off the game thread, which was our bottleneck. And for the other character systems that are just as costly, like movement, avoidance, state tree behaviors,
I wonder if you can kill all of the people in the village.
This is really going to help you create scenes that are crowded and lively. Streaming has always been a big deal regarding performance. And the three biggest improvements we made are physics state creation, which now runs async, improved runtime PCG for ground scatter on GPU, and a new FastGeo plugin to stream static geometry. And just to take a different example, in CitySample, the streaming time was cut down by 90% while moving at high speed. We focus on a lot of areas for performance in 5.6, and mobile is no exception. We work on better defaults and scalability settings for mobile and minimize the default
I'm going to be honest,
package
I don't
size.
have a single clue what he's talking about
We
here.
also improve our workflows with a UI refactor of the viewport toolbar and content browser, an on-device iteration workflow, and a mobile preview solution.
Fortnite.
So there you go. Unreal Engine 5.6 is all about performance, and it's available today.
So there's a strange thing, I think, people have like this perspective of Unreal Engine 5, that it's bad, right? But I think it's only bad if the devs don't know how to use it properly. So an example, right? In Claire Obscure Expedition 33, they used Unreal Engine 5, and that game looks fucking amazing. So if a dev knows how to use it, it looks fantastic. But it's the devs who don't know how to use it. That's the problem. Alright, that's the end. Alright, so can we go back to the where is it? I'm trying to find the image where the buildings were. The view. I think it was here, right?
We've worked.
There it is. Boys, so do you know how with Elden Ring, the art style was like peak fantasy? This here is like a peak hybrid of fantasy and realism. And boys, I'm telling you, if they can get this game right, we could have one of the best games ever made. And this is the same company who made Cyberpunk, which, even though when the game first came out, it was atrocious, once they fixed it, that game became incredible, right? So I've definitely got high hopes, but I am skeptical because this is, again, a tech demo. It isn't a one-to-one. I'm also a bit concerned with the with how combat's going to be in this game. So in The Witcher 3, if you played the segment where you play as Cirilla, she was incredibly overpowered, right? And because that's kind of who she is in like the story, she's incredibly powerful, right? So I feel like in this, either she's going to be insanely overpowered, or they're going to tune it down to where during like the cutscenes and the story, she's told in a way to where she is powerful, but when you actually play the game and you're fighting creatures, you are very weak. And I feel like games do this constantly. So that is definitely some skepticism I've got. But
Say they'll not reach you.
we can always... I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt since The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk were so good. But this game looks fucking beautiful. Jesus. I'm also concerned with the exploration as well. So, like, if this is the biggest game, but it seems to be covered in, like, mountainous terrain, but you're also riding a horse. So I wonder how you're going to traverse the map. Like this here, this looks hard to traverse on horse. So I wonder how this is going to be. And I really hope they do away with things like smuggler's cache, cave with 2 goblins, and they focus on more in-depth, like caves or tombs. But I'm definitely hopeful.